we'll leave you saying, Mamma Mia!
So we were doing rehearsal for SOS, and Josh, one of the music directors, decided that because the ensemble, it's such a private moment between Donna and Sam, and the ensemble is singing in it for some reason, which we do a lot.
We're supposed to like just be like the background singers, and then during rehearsal, we just got impromptu choreography from Josh, where we just sprint in singing at them.
Every time we were about to start singing, we ran forward and just crowded them, and then we walked away when it was over. It was a lot of fun. Really great.
My favorite rehearsal moment has been we were rehearsing the song of the show, Take a Chance, and we really wanted to emphasize that there's like two different musical things happening at once. So we had the tenors and basses marching this really steady beat, and we decided that they were like the Robo Bunnies or whatever, and the sopranos and altos had this more like legato line. And they were singing that, and we decided that they were like the stone throwers, so they were like tossing stones into like a river, and we had them like battle, and it was like a really fun like step away from music, but still we're making really cool art moment.
It's actually happened last night. We were doing the music rehearsal for Chiquitita, which is already a hard word to say, but Josh, our music director, was like, okay, we're gonna replace all the titles of the songs with something different. And I think he said chicken fajita, so he was referring to it as chicken fajita, which was really funny.
One moment where we have Donna. We have Donna, Pepper, Eddie, and Sky on stage, and it's at a point where like Donna is kind of confused, but the three boys are like still hungover from the night before, and they come on and they just like do all this singing and all this drunk acting kind of stuff, and then Pepper goes to leave. And in the script, it's kind of like a very proper line that he says, so we tried to like work it out in some way that it would make sense.
Yeah, and like an impression of some kind.
Yeah, and in the rehearsal room, Pepper, who's played by Daria, turns around and in his most British accent, which he admits himself that he cannot do.
It's bad.
He turns around and he's like, scrub the groom's balk. I think for maybe 10 minutes, we could
were
not,
all laughing.
Everybody in the room could not get themselves together.
Yeah. He couldn't not break.
Hannah had to take like 3 tries to just stare at Darian and get used to the face, and he's like,
yeah.
My favorite moment ever is we're about to start rehearsal, right? And Darian comes up and he just lets rip this huge bird, and I was just like, oh, okay, what? And Ruiran, without paying attention, just like, oh, he's like, excuse me, and she's like, oh, you're excused me. That was the greatest moment ever, and none of them remember it, which was the best.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
My favorite part is that like during a dance rehearsal, during a singing rehearsal, really any rehearsal, like you can always just stand and like make eye contact with someone and like bop a little bit. There's a lot of like dabs. It just keeps it very fun, and it's always great to like interact with other people and just bop.
I also really like, I'm a huge fan of Ulvaeus, the actual closer, especially because this also goes into like just rehearsal in general, but I really like when I found out that I will be like having 2 partners for like the dance sequence, and I was like, oh yeah, this is my moment. it's gonna be great. So I really enjoy that number, even though it's really hard.
I think one of my favorite memories from rehearsal is in Ulvaeus when Hadley and I together partner with Darian, and it's just so funny because we're like fighting for his attention, but then really we're just having a great time like dancing with each other and ignoring him.
Like if only he were not there.
Yeah, it's great.
You know, we have these blocking meetings where we're up very late at night trying to figure out, all right, what would look good with people on stage? And, you know, for so long it's just words on a page. But then, you know, once we have a whole rehearsal and we give people this blocking and they change it to make it their own, it comes to life somehow. It's so incredible seeing this 2-dimensional, just all of these ideas being translated into real interactions with real people on stage, and every time I see people take what we've written down and make it their own, it's always like 10 times better than I could have imagined. Like they're just, oh, I love watching this cast bring this show to life. So.
Mm-hmm. It always looks 10 times better than we imagined it to.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So my favorite rehearsal memory was the day that we were learning Ulvaeus, the choreography. We were doing the section with a bunch of like tricks and lifts and stuff. And so we get to the big one, which is Clayton and Ida. And Tejas is like going through it with Clayton, and he's like, okay, like try the lift, and Clayton just does it, and Tejas like melts. He's like, that was so easy. It was like the greatest moment to like witness. And also the lift looks really good.
My favorite rehearsal memory was when we did the Dancing Queen choreography for the first time, because it was one of the choreography rehearsals where we had mirrors so we could see each other, we could see ourselves doing it, and like seeing us do this like iconic song that we've been listening to forever, and like be the dynamos and be silly and have fun together, and like we looked awesome, and that was really cool to see. Just the whole thing made me really happy, because it took me from like when I was a kid like dancing around in my room to like Dancing Queen to like doing it for real together, like as a part of it, was just like surreal and just fun. Like couldn't stop smiling. So.
Yeah, I think for the rehearsal process, these songs really bring out a lot of joy and enthusiasm from anyone in general, but the cast is really loving it. And so like specifically when we first were doing the music for Mamma Mia in rehearsal, like it's the title song of the show, and like it feels very real to actually get all the notes and everyone singing together on the title song. And there's just so much energy in the room. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. You mentioned the scene where we come on drunk after the number, and that was a lot of fun to do. We just had a really good time in that rehearsal room, just kind of falling over and exploring what our characters are like in that sort of post-party mindset, which was, I had a lot of fun with that, I would say.
I think, I guess it kind of ties into my favorite scene was actually the rehearsal for blocking, like the whole, when Rosie and Tanya are like getting ready, or getting their stuff, I guess, back into the hotel, and then Donna comes in and then they sing Chiquitita, but I think we get to play off of the fun dynamic between Tanya and Rosie, which is like sometimes like head to head and like a little bit like best friend, but like kind of like a battlefield sometimes, which is like an interesting thing to play off of. And yeah, I think that rehearsal was long, but it was a lot of fun to play off of again with all these women. And yeah, again, really starting to develop more of the dynamic between the three of them. It was really fun.
I don't have a specific moment, but many times throughout the show, I get chills from hearing Hannah sing her parts, and then obviously Sophie, so Ida singing her parts. Yeah, so I constantly have goosies.
I like when we first blocked when the dynamos meet each other for the first time in a long time. We had just talked about like each of the backstories we created for how we all met, and so there were a lot of similarities that we hadn't actually talked about, and like making the reunion of these women for the first time in 8 years felt like so natural and so like genuinely full of like love and female power, and I don't know, it was really cute and a lot of fun.
For me, my favorite rehearsal memory was one of our first rehearsals was at like 8:15 a.m. and I was pissed because I am not a morning person. And I basically dragged myself across campus, and when we got there, there was just a spread of bagels and cream cheese from Shaelyn and Amber, and I think I cried. But it just made like the 6 hours of rehearsal we had that day like so much better. So thanks, Shaelyn and Amber.
My favorite rehearsal moment was, just for some background context, we didn't have the scores until fairly later in the process. So for most of the first few weeks of rehearsing the show, the cast had to constantly print out music from the piano vocal to be able to rehearse. So right before our first rehearsal, there was this whole wholesome moment in the cast SM director group chat about who has printing quota, who can print, who needs to have their sheet music printed. And I think that just really set a good tone for the whole production rehearsal process in general. I think everyone's just incredibly supportive of each other, and there's just a lot of mutual love and respect in the rehearsal room, and that's been really great.
And we ended up with a ton of extra copies because everyone wanted to help out.
I think honestly, it's a very comfortable rehearsal environment. Like everyone is really loving, and everyone is here for each other. You know, if anyone's having like a bad day or something, like there's always someone there to like pick you up and things like that. I think that's really important, especially when it comes to, you know, being comfortable accessing, you know, these different feelings and being able to really express your character to their full potential in front of a room. Like that's really important.
Definitely. I mean, and I had a couple of moments during the rehearsal process, just like difficult personal moments, and people in the rehearsal space, directors, other cast members, like took time out of the rehearsal to just like, hey, are you okay? How are you doing? And people are taking care of each other. And I think everyone is really having fun with the show and also taking it seriously. We have a very sort of professional atmosphere going on, but people are also like being friends and just having a great time. And I think it's really, really a wonderful climate to do a show.
And I also just love working with Amber, and I think I'm hard to work with, but Amber's really tolerant and patient, and luckily this process hasn't made us want to evict one another from our apartment. So yes. I think we're closer because of it, and it's really cool.
Grown stronger. Together.
Together.
We can make a heart.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's a good ending, I think.